I'm daydreaming, daydreaming. I've got nowhere to be, and nothing's stopping me from daydreaming, daydreaming.
Welcome everyone to the second entry in my video dive log. It is officially my second dive with what I'm calling my completed underwater cinema rig. Obviously, always room to improve, but I am definitely still getting used to this setup. And these logs have sort of been like behind the scenes as I develop my skills wielding my camera underwater. It also probably doesn't help that I am a relatively inexperienced diver. I mean, I've probably only done about 25 dives in my life. I've actually been really bad at keeping track, which is also part of the reason why I started these video logs. So you guys are definitely going to see my inexperience throughout some of these dive logs as I grow. And I'm going to just kind of point out the obvious here. Yes, the second stage of my regulator came loose on entering the water. And throughout the video, you will see it dangling, and it doesn't get fixed. I didn't notice this entire dive. And for those of you who don't dive, the second stage is that yellow tube around my neck, which is basically just a backup breathing device for yourself or fellow divers. I am very glad my dive buddy AJ didn't notice while we were on the dive. He probably would have been quite upset with me. Sorry, AJ. I will do better next time. At least I really hope I do. So now we're just at the beginning of our dive through this section of Molasses Reef nicknamed Eagle Ray Alley. And right at the beginning, AJ notices something interesting, and he tries to get my attention to point out these little Christmas tree worms. You can probably guess how they got that name. They basically look like a little Christmas tree when they branch out to breathe and catch food. And usually, if you get close to these little guys, they will vanish in a second. So it's kind of cool that I was able to get them all spread out in their beautiful festive glory. Now, obviously, I am still getting familiar with my equipment, so you're definitely going to see throughout the video me fiddling with my rig and scrambling to get it all set up when I find something interesting I want to shoot. Like, I saw below me this beautiful yellow vibrant fish kept poking his head out of the little cavern crevices. And I'm pretty sure this is a juvenile damselfish. They come in a variety of colors, but one thing I have noticed is most juvenile fish of any type of fish on the reef tend to have the most beautiful coloring. So while I was distracted filming my damselfish, AJ is being the MVP and continuing to look for more interesting critters that may be hiding in the crevices of the reef. It really is nice diving with these groups because you just have extra sets of eyes keeping an eye out because there's just so much you could easily miss diving these reefs. As soon as we're getting ready to start navigating the section of the reef and we're all grouped up, ready to go, I'm quite shocked to end up spotting the second most venomous fish on the reef, just kind of chilling in his own little corner. So this is a scorpion fish, not to be confused with the most venomous fish in the world, the stonefish, which I totally thought we had encountered a stonefish the first time I saw one of these scorpion fishes on the reef. And I got a little freaked out by that because, you know, they are hard to spot. I was quickly enlightened to the fact that these are just the less venomous cousins of the stonefish. So this guy's sting is more than likely not going to kill me, but it still would end this dive real quick. It's kind of funny, I have never had such an easy time spotting a scorpionfish, and it seems each dive they get easier and easier. The last one we saw was barely visible but crawling across the reef and definitely not as chill about being on camera. And when they are actually hiding on the reef, it basically becomes impossible to see one. Like, look at this shot. This scorpionfish was pointed out to me and I still missed it for longer than I care to admit. So we definitely started out this dive with a couple interesting finds, and as we continue through the reef, I keep noticing like bright colored fish sticking their heads out of the structures, and this one up ahead I saw this rock beauty angelfish. It really is like a unique fish that I don't see a lot of swimming around the reef. Now with a nickname like Eagle Ray Alley, I'm definitely keeping my head on a swivel throughout this dive because I have dove in the Keys like 10 times now, and I've still yet to see an Eagle Ray. I can't tell you how many people have told me the Eagle Ray is just like, it's just a common thing you see here, especially this time of year. I've been on the same boat as other groups that have seen Eagle Rays, so it's driving me a little bit nuts, and I'm really hoping to see one in the near future. Now you can see a ton of different fish swimming around the reef this morning, but the most interesting to pass by my camera is this French angelfish. I think what makes this one so interesting isn't just the striking appearance, but the fact that this is solo. An adult angelfish like this typically will mate for life and are inseparable, always swimming in pairs everywhere. So I'm hoping its mate is tucked away in one of the nearby coral structures, and he's not alone in this big blue ocean. As I continue through the reef, these barrel sponges get my attention, and as I get ready to go film them, I quickly notice between them a feather duster worm. Sort of like the Christmas tree worm at the start of the video, these worms are tricky to capture because they withdraw so quickly anytime I get close. Like you can just see, I slowed down this footage 10 times just to kind of give you a sense of how quickly they withdraw. As we slowly continue to make our way through the reef, I happen to glance down and spot a tiny pufferfish hiding just below me. These guys are usually quite shy and prefer to keep to themselves, and they're also not the strongest swimmers, so this crevice is probably the perfect spot for it to rest and save some energy, and I feel really lucky to have happened to have found him. When diving with these larger groups, I often drift slightly away to create some space between myself and the others. Keeping a bit of distance not only makes it easier to approach marine life without startling it, but it also means that when the main group spots something, the commotion often causes that wildlife to drift my way. You know, away from the crowd. So usually if I can anticipate it with the group's movement and patiently hang back, I'll get some amazing results. As I turn the corner here, I see Dory's cousin grazing on some algae. So this is an Atlantic blue tang, not to be confused with the Pacific blue tang that you see in Finding Nemo. You're going to see them throughout the dive, and if I refer to them as blue tangs, I don't want you thinking it's Dory. Up ahead, I notice a large group of spotlight parrotfish all hanging out in this corner. Green and red parrotfish are supposed to be full-grown males that usually transition from their juvenile female sex in the absence of a dominant male. That is a fun fact about the parrotfish. They can switch to female or male depending on the needs of the reef. Right behind this male is a juvenile female spotlight parrotfish, and really what's interesting is just how dramatically these fish change color throughout their life. We are currently swimming to one of the most iconic landmarks on Molasses Reef, a sunken winch from a previous wreck. There are actually a ton of little artifacts from shipwrecks past that you can find throughout the area, and a lot of your dives on Molasses Reef will have you passing by this area nicknamed Winch Hole, which is actually a coral sinkhole. Now, this isn't like your typical above land sinkhole. These types of environments are sandy depressions surrounded by coral reefs, and they attract a ton of different critters that usually prefer to relax in the sand over the jagged, sharp coral structures that surround it. And at night, this will actually attract a variety of animals like octopus, lobster, and eels that usually are hiding during the day. Because this area attracts such a wide variety of sea life, I do my best to scan the area thoroughly to see what I can find. I actually quickly notice a large animal hiding under the coral structure in front of me, and it's subtle, and I don't think anyone in my group noticed it either. But tucked away is a decently sized moray eel. These guys are incredible ambush hunters that are primarily nocturnal, so they spend most of their days hiding away in the coral structures, and you only ever really see them during the day sticking their heads out of the coral. So we're seeing a good amount of this guy's body, and you can see just how big he is. Now, I ended up missing most of the pass-throughs on this dive as I was quite distracted filming all the sea life, but this time I'm ready. If you saw the last dive log, I don't need to tell you how much I enjoy these little pass-throughs. I've had relatively good finds swimming through them, and I mean, even the last time I did this pass-through, I came out the other side face to face with a barracuda, which was awesome. So this corridor is one of the coolest sections of the dive, but it also feels like it's sort of a wind tunnel for the current, and this ends up being one of the more strenuous parts of our dive today. Despite the current, I am determined to float along the bottom and search for any critters that could be hiding. You remember a while ago when I said I like to hang back away from the group of divers and how it usually leads to great wildlife encounters? Well, this leads to one of my favorite shots on this dive as the group redirects this large school of blue tangs right toward me. don't know what happened, but all of a sudden it feels like the reef came alive. This is why, even if it feels like we aren't seeing anything on our dives, I know in an instant it could all change and I could end up having the most incredible wildlife encounters. Something I could definitely be better at is looking above me on these dives. Looking up right here, I noticed this filefish swimming curiously overhead. They actually got their name because of how rough their scales are. Fishermen used to compare it to the texture of a nail filer, which looking at it, I would have never guessed that. I have noticed one of the universal laws of shooting wildlife that applies to both land and sea animals is in order to get the best shots, you need to anticipate where the animals are going, and I have been watching these blue tangs move in one direction through the reef, and instead of swimming toward them as they fed on these corals, I tried to get out in front of them. Unfortunately, I am not as fast as them in the water, and I wasn't able to get out in front of them before they started to move, but it still proved to be a good shot. So trying to shoot the school of blue tangs, I ended up missing another of the pass-throughs on this dive. This one actually looks like one of the longer pass-throughs than the others that I missed. Here you can see the rest of the group making their way through. Right here, our guide is telling me about the narrow pass-through we are about to go through, and to condense my camera rig to make it as small as possible. Now, I have done a ton of pass-throughs, but I think this may have been the tightest squeeze I've attempted. I even ended up hitting my head right at the end. Up ahead, we have one of the larger parrotfish on the reef, the blue parrotfish. These guys get really big, like almost 4 feet long, and this one grazing here is literally turning the coral into sand before our eyes. It's crazy to think about, but just this parrotfish alone will create hundreds of pounds of sand every year. Passing along this structure, I almost missed it, but I found my first spiny lobster on the dive, hiding in one of the crevices. Which at some point this year, I plan to make a video where I catch and cook one of these guys with my buddy AJ, which should prove quite the entertaining endeavor. Now at this point in the dive, I see it. What I have been eager to see the entire time. A diver raises his hand to the top of their head and I make a mad dash to them. My group behind me, for whatever reason, fixates on something, and I never did ask what it was because all I could focus on was the shark up ahead. This is a nurse shark. Definitely not the most exciting to see, and unlike most sharks, they don't need to constantly move to breathe. So during the day, they usually just lounge about. These are actually some of the best first shark encounters because they are so docile. But I'm still a little taken aback as this shark starts to swim toward me. Although I am pleasantly surprised that I did not disturb the shark and it was just moving to eat. And what's kind of crazy is this nurse shark is able to get its food kind of like a vacuum, sticking its head into this structure, and it just sucks out the critters, making it a really successful hunter on the reef. was really cool to actually get an action shot of a nurse shark, and because of that, it makes me really reluctant to leave them behind, but the odds of this shark doing anything more after a meal is highly unlikely for us. So as we start making our way back to the boat, I wanted to thank you all for coming along with me on this dive. I like making these videos because it shows the whole dive experience. I think too many people just want to see the quote good stuff, but the journey is really what it's all about. Putting in the time, the effort, and energy makes the payoff of seeing something cool so much better. I know I have gained an even greater appreciation of ocean documentaries after just a couple attempts of underwater cinematography, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where this journey takes me and starting on the underwater films I've been dreaming about for a while now. We are finally getting to the end of our dive, and as we enjoy this safety stop, please consider liking and subscribing this if you want to see more. As this is a new video series for me, any feedback is appreciated. I am still figuring out what this style of content looks like, and I'm excited for the journey. If you guys like the narration, you like me pointing out some interesting facts on the reef, let me know. If you guys just want the ambiance, I'm also open to that. It is quite time consuming going through this video and doing the audio anyways, so you guys would save me a ton of time, but I'm more than happy to give my commentary. I do appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video.